phones, Babylons can't crack the code.
Ollie Gordon has been the talk of college football these last few weeks, having some very big games such as a 271-yard game versus Cincinnati, 282-yard game versus West Virginia, a big 2-touchdown game versus Oklahoma, and a huge 100-plus yard game on the ground and through the air versus Kansas. Through 9 games in the 2023 campaign, Ollie Gordon has 1,225 rushing yards, averaging an insane 7 yards a carry, while having a total of 12 touchdowns on the ground and 219 total yards through the air. And the most insane thing about it all is that he wasn't a starting running back the first 3 weeks of the season. In fact, versus Central Arkansas, Arizona State, and South Alabama, he rushed the ball for a total of 18 times. But since he's became the starting running back for Oklahoma State, their offense has been different. They have only lost 1 game, and they are on a run right now that seems like they're destined to be in that Big 12 championship game. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about Ollie Gordon's story and his rise during the 2023 college football season. Before I move on, remember to smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Now let's get into it. To start this video, I'm going to be taking it back to his high school football career at Trinity High School in Texas, where he made his name known on the Texas scene, being a standout in back-to-back seasons in 2020 and 2021. In his high school football career, Ollie Gordon rushed for a total of 5,240 yards on the ground, while accounting for a total of 74 rushing touchdowns and 6 touchdowns to the air in his high school football career. In his senior season in 2021, he had his biggest year by far, as he accounted for 2,478 yards on the ground, 35 rushing touchdowns, while also having 205 receiving yards to the air on only 7 receptions and 2 receiving touchdowns. And he also did some things in the passing game, as he attempted 29 passing attempts, completing 15 of his passes for 308 yards, with 3 passing touchdowns compared to 0 interceptions. In back-to-back seasons in 2020 and 2021, Ollie Gordon was without a doubt one of the best players in the state of Texas, and his 24/7 Sports composite rank showed that, as he ranked as a 4-star number 238 player nationally and the number 19 running back in the nation, as well as the number 37 player in the state of Texas. He would garner a total of 18 offers. He held offers from schools such as Oklahoma State, Arkansas, Brigham Young, Houston, and Texas, just to name a few. He would end up committing to Oklahoma State, and despite a late push with a late offer by Texas, Ollie Gordon would stay loyal and be committed with the Pokes and signed with them in December. Going into his freshman year at Oklahoma State for the 2022 college football season, Ollie Gordon was going to have an opportunity to compete for some serious playing time right away, as he was going to be in a competition in the running back room with the likes of Dominic Richardson, Jaden Nixon, and DeAndre Jackson to be fighting for those RB1 carries and be fighting for those carries throughout the season, as coming off of 2021, they lost their lead rusher in Jalen Warren, who had a great year for them as he went to the NFL and ended up with the Pittsburgh Steelers. But let's get back to the Ollie Gordon story. Ollie Gordon would not be the starting running back at all for the Oklahoma State Cowboys for the 2022 college football season. And in fact, for most of the season, he played quite sparingly. He would end up playing in all 13 games for the Cowboys. However, he didn't really start seeing big-time carries until the last week of the regular season versus West Virginia and the very last game, their bowl game, versus Wisconsin. In this small sample size of Ollie Gordon's true freshman campaign in 2022 with Oklahoma State, he didn't play at all, and I would say he impressed more so than he did not impress people, as he ended up rushing for a total of 308 yards, averaged 5 yards a carry, accounted for 2 touchdowns on the ground and 2 touchdowns through the air, but in his first big game getting a good amount of the carries for the team in Week 12 versus West Virginia, he rushed for 136 yards, 8 yards per carry, and had 1 touchdown on the ground. However, versus Wisconsin, that Cowboy offense ultimately did struggle to get things going on both fronts of offense, passing and running, as he rushed for 45 yards on 12 attempts. But all in all, it was a good and promising freshman year with the small sample size he ultimately had from game to game, as he did show what he truly had in Week 12, and it was something that Cowboy fans were hoping to see a lot in 2023. Going into his sophomore year, the current 2023 college football season, Ollie Gordon was going to be competing for those RB1 carries yet again, this time with Elijah Collins and Jaden Nixon. And through the first 3 weeks, it was kind of unclear what Oklahoma State was necessarily doing in the run game, as they were doing a running back by committee. But if you're going to be looking at the yards per carry, Ollie Gordon was clearly the lead-on favorite with touchdowns and yards per carry amongst him, Nixon, and Collins. But in just the first 3 weeks versus Central Arkansas, Arizona State, and a South Alabama game in which they honestly got embarrassed 33-7 on their own home field, Ollie Gordon only had a total of 19 rushing attempts. 17 versus Central Arkansas, 9 versus Arizona State, and 3 versus South Alabama, a game that they lost. And in those 3 games, he rushed for over an amount of 100 total yards, averaging over 5 yards a carry and 2 touchdowns on the ground. And what was going to be the big change for this OSU offense moving forward, coming off a bad loss with South Alabama, it was going to be feeding Ollie Gordon the rest of the way in Big 12 play. In 6 Big 12 games, Ollie Gordon has already accrued over 1,000 yards through a 6-game stretch and has accounted for a total of 10 rushing touchdowns and 1 touchdown through the air. In this current season, he leads the nation in rushing yards with 1,225 rushing yards, is averaging an impressive 7 yards per carry, which ranks top 5 in running backs that are starters in the NCAA FBS Division I level. He has 12 rushing touchdowns on the season and 1 receiving touchdown, while also accounting for 219 yards through the air on 22 total receptions. He's been a big part of Oklahoma State's game plan, as he's helped capitalize this offense week in and week out, leading them to wins over Kansas State, Kansas, West Virginia, Cincinnati, and Oklahoma. A few of those games, Oklahoma, West Virginia, Kansas, and Kansas State, those are no slouches, and he had big games in all those games, making a big impact for the Cowboys, winning those said games. He also has games versus West Virginia in which he rushed for 282, averaged nearly 10 yards a carry with 4 touchdowns on the ground, and versus Cincinnati, 271 yards on the ground, averaged over 10 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns on the ground. And of course, I cannot ignore Kansas. 168 yards on the ground, 1 touchdown on the ground, and 1 touchdown through the air while accounting for 116 total yards of receiving. If you did not hear anything I just said, to summarize it, Ollie Gordon has been on a complete tear and has been playing like one of the best players in all of college football. Ollie Gordon and this tear that he's had ever since Big 12 play has started, as he's had 6 straight Big 12 conference games in which he has rushed for over 100 plus yards in each game, even 200 in a couple of them. Ollie Gordon's been on this complete tear, and if he's not a Heisman finalist by year's end, the Heisman Trophy this year may just be a complete joke, as it will be a travesty if he's not a Heisman finalist. Now, I'm not saying he should win the award, even though I definitely think he has an argument for it, but he has to be a Heisman finalist, especially with the way he's playing. Heck, he's the best running back in college football right now, especially with the production that he has and how important he is to Oklahoma State's team. As before he started getting a lot of carries, Oklahoma State's season, they look to be a bottom dweller of the Big 12. They just lost to South Alabama, and that offense was struggling versus not only Central Arkansas, but also Arizona State and, of course, South Alabama. And they've completely turned it up these last few weeks, and he's been a big reason why. And it seems like Ollie Gordon has a good chance to keep his success going throughout the rest of the season, as he's facing 3 straight Big 12 teams who rank lower on the Big 12 for rushing defense in UCF, Houston, and BYU. If he keeps up his hot streak that he's had these last few weeks of college football, there's no doubt that Ollie Gordon's going to be a Heisman finalist in my eyes. And Oklahoma State more than likely isn't going to lose a game if he keeps up this level of play, as their offense has been very good with this level of play that he's brought to the table. And with their last few games being against Big 12 teams that haven't had the best time this year in UCF, Houston, and BYU, they seem like they're going to be a lock for the Big 12 championship title game as long as they really control what they've been doing these last few weeks. And they'll likely face one of three teams in Texas, Kansas, and or maybe Oklahoma if a few things go their way in the end. Well, guys, you made it to the end of this video. Drop down any future videos you guys want to see on this channel. And before you head out, remember to smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. B. Kelly out.